with our customary. Ta-da! Okay, a little bit of a summary. Give us kind of a heads up on what happened previously. Previously, at the inner core of the galactic map, Admiral Tellus and a bunch of others had come into contact with Imperial forces of the Warlords, fought them off, but took grievous casualties, and then retreated over into Chiss space. They then proceeded to crash land on the planet due to some sabotage on board their ships. They then met up with some old friends in the form of Lynn and her wolf and a couple others of the Chiss prophets who are looking to create some dialogue between the rest of the peoples. The Chiss First Citizen, the leader of the Chiss Ascendancy, approached the Imperial crash landees and said that they are welcome to stay if they pitch in and pull their weight, which includes gaining allies, garnering favor with people around them, and most importantly, getting ships. Specifically warships and ships that are capable of serving as a defensive and offensive line. And to that end, y'all met with a Colicoid who said that he could use some help on his own home planet. And that is where we pick up today. We are on the planet of Chinua. We have just finished burying a couple of brave soldiers who had served on board the Spatial Vector and had both died in battle and died in the crash landing. And at this point in time, y'all have had a good night's rest. And as you wake up, the sun rising over the city, the beautiful scene before you, and the day is yours. What would you like to do?
Bash is gonna wake up and attempt to open up his the bay doors for his ship.
Interesting enough, Banis, you wake up in a hospital bed. You went to bed in your ship, in your captain's chair. You wake up in a hospital bed. Things seem to be less than insane, kind of bustling. It's early morning. Doctors are making their rounds. Patients are receiving care. And as you look around, you see several others, including your fellow mercenaries. A Trandoshan is in a bed next to you with a heart monitor going at a healthy pace of beep, beep, beep. And next to you is our friendly neighborhood Tiger Man, who is also stirring.
Oh, I'm in hospital too?
You are in hospital too.
I'll go where Rocky's just be like,
You're not even sure how you got there.
look, what the fuck? How are we here? Too old for this. Boo!
I see they got digged out.
I just get up and I head straight to the cafeteria for food.
All right. At this point in time, as you get up,
I hear the heart monitors and just start ripping everything off, so I'm just ripping everything off. I don't even care.
At this point in time, one of the orderlies comes over to you. It's a blue-skinned Chiss woman with a tight black-haired bun tied in the back and kind of a no-nonsense demeanor on her. Excuse me, sir. I'm sorry. You must lay back down on the bed. You have taken a serious concussion. We must check you out before we let you go.
Who is she talking to?
She's talking to you as you're tearing things off.
I've been shot. I've been stabbed. I have crashed my ship multiple times. I am okay. I have been stabbed with a big ass hole. I think I'm fine.
Very well.
It's true.
I cannot force you to stay, but I must warn you to take care. You have received a head injury. She points to your head and feels back there. You reach up your own hand and you feel the back of your head where there's now a massive lump at where you obviously had some sort of trauma at the back of your head.
I'll be okay.
If you insist, your clothes are there, and as you look down, as you get up, you realize that you're wearing a hospital gown. You've got one with kind of the butt flaps in the back, and just you're not in the clothes that you fell asleep in.
I guess I'll grab my clothes and go change.
Where's my armor?
It is right over there, sir, with your personal effects. She points over to the corner where there's a pile of both weapons, materials, and clothing and armor that you recognize as yours.
Got it.
I guess I'll wander around, see if I can find either Tellus or Lynn. But I guess in character, I guess I wouldn't know Lynn's here.
In character, you don't even know where here is.
Yeah. I guess I'll kind of wander around and try to find Tellus.
Alrighty, if you have a comm over with your equipment, if you like, you can go ahead and try that.
That's true. Tellus, where are you at? How did I get here?
Your comm starts
my
blinking.
ship?
Tell us.
Tellus isn't really paying attention to his comm going off right now. Instead, he's kind of just complaining to one of the chefs, like, now look, I know you insist that cream is a necessity in coffee, but no, it is not. You do not need cream at all.
But sir,
Like,
it is a
cream,
it
no
is
cream,
a
cream, no cream.
it is a cheese delicacy to be added to this. It is a travesty to not have it added. If you wish not to have it in, then you may request it, but I highly recommend against it.
I mean, Tellus!
What?
I'm walking straight to the cafeteria, so if I run into him, I'll run into him.
Where are we? Where are you? Where's my ship? Where's everything?
Oh, your ship. Right. Yeah. Just meet me in the cafeteria.
All right. Takes you a few minutes, but it y'all manage to reconvene in the hospital cafeteria. Kind of a long metallic, kind of a Spartan area with benches and metal tables. Functional, but not all that pretty.
Okay, I guess I'll walk over to Tellus and go
You see,
pop a spot next to him.
you see Tellus at the far end nursing. What would you be nursing on right about now? Cup of calf?
What kind of cat?
A
I think a good dark chest roast.
a dark chist roast. You can smell it. You can almost smell it from the door. It's so pungent. As you can obviously tell that Tellus has been nursing his morning calf. As some others move around, there's different doctors and nurses. There's people of different races moving about in their morning routine. A few of them kind of take a look at you, moving about as they go in deep conversation. One of them accidentally hits you. So, oh, excuse me, sorry. As they pass on by.
Oh, Venice, you're awake. Yeah. Now, about your ship.
What happened to it? Why did it give it a
Well,
hospital?
as far as I know, your ship is okay. It's just buried under meters of dirt right now.
Ah, that's tough luck, buddy.
And
Um,
see,
See, what happened was, apparently you got knocked out cold before you saw any of this, but, just to give you a recap, we couldn't exit hyperspeed. We ended up crash landing into the planet, and, Lynn and I had to prevent the Special Vector's, core from going critical, and taking the entire planet with it.
oh, ugh. Where is said crash so I can attempt to find help to get my ship back and maybe find Z because I have yet to see him anywhere.
Oh yeah, Z. Knowing Z, he's probably relaxing and enjoying his time away from you. But are you sure you're able to get out there?
I'm very sure. You know me, I've had much worse.
Okay, fair. Alright. Wait. So you failed to drop out of light space or hyperspace, and then you crash land into planets all the time?
I mean,
Don't answer to that. Okay, just follow me.
It takes you a few minutes and a short hovercar ride, but y'all get to the edge of the city. And as y'all reach the edge, you can plainly see across a beautiful grass plain, and right beyond it, a rather looming mountain range with a beautiful skies right behind it. And in between that, on these grassy plains, you can see very obviously, very prominently, 5 shapes. One of them massive, one of them obviously the spatial vector, and the other 3 look to be crashed ships, obviously of the Victory class and Dreadnought designs. Now, while none of them seem to have exploded, none of them seem to have fared very well. Several of them have buckled. The spatial vector seems to have plowed into the dirt on its side and kicked up a whole ton of dirt and building it up on one entire side, keeping the docking bays and supply cargo areas and launching hangars from being accessed. And right beyond that, you see a whole bunch of different what looks like tents and transports of civilian kind. And dotting all along the field, as you get closer and closer, you recognize this is the survivors. The civilian populace that was evacuated from the Bilbringi shipyards, who are now making a new life for themselves on this plane.
I kind of point up to the... I had to point up to the cargo bay wherein Bannis's ship is probably still buried, and I go...
Actually,
yeah,
as you come around to the side, you go around the front of the spatial vector, and as you go around the front, you see it's tilted onto its side. The side that is tilted down is the one that is the hangar that has Bannis's ship. And as you go around to the side of the ship that would normally be access point for the hangar, you see a large mound of dirt and grass and roots just jammed up to the side of this crashed ship. It's no longer smoking, and it's no longer got bits of it exploding off of it, so it is at least stable.
does it look like there's anywhere to even get into the ship? Curious.
Oh, there are several different access points, but getting the ship out is going to be a little bit of a trick.
Oh man, Bannis is good though, so it's okay.
Alrighty. If you like, you can go inside the ship.
Yes, I like to go inside the ship to find the Wonad.
Alright. As you make your way about, you see the Imperial Remnant crews going about, patching up what they can, salvaging other pieces, and moving about with pretty much no other orders, and just trying to do what they can with the ship that is now in obviously grounded straits. And you move past buckled flooring and broken Durasteel, shattered transparent steel panes, and dangling wires, all the way down to the cargo bay. And as you go further and further, it's a downward ramp towards the cargo bay. And as you get to the cargo bay doors, you see that they are crammed shut, as the impact of whatever hit compressed the sliding doors from the top and to the side. But you see from the middle of it, there's just this little cutout space where obviously someone had taken a welding torch to the door, cut their way through, and made sort of a man-sized hole to be able to bring people through, in and out, and to be able to get into the cargo bay. There are some Imperial techs over to the side working on some of the electronic panels, trying to get the doors to function. But right now, the only access point you have is through that little welded out piece. And as you pass, both of the engineers stop what they're doing, working on the panel, look up at you and Tellus, and then snap to attention. Stop.
Can I just motion them down, just like, down, it's fine. Like, no need for pleasantries here.
Thank you, sir. They continue on about their work.
I'm gonna keep walking until I find the Wonat.
Alrighty. As you go on inside, you take a look around. You see on the floor a smashed group of what obviously looks like everything that had been in the cargo bay. From weapons to vehicles to assault craft to AT-ATs to AT-STs to just boxes of fuel and supplies and everything just smashed up against the side of the ship that would normally be the launching area, but is now just a large pile of dirt, which is now just blocking this finally ended downward ramp. And over to the side, with an AT-ST leaning up against it, and a couple of what looks like emergency supply rations smashed up against it, with a couple of spare parts boxes on top of it, and a hovercraft leaking oil just on top of it seems to be the Walnut, with its ramp down, and seemingly other than having a few bits and pieces on it. I'd like you to roll a perception check. With advantage, because this is your ship.
Yeah. Oh, Lois, it's what kind of connection are you seeing on your?
Connection?
Yeah, because it's a bit jumpy.
Okay, because your connection is a little jumpy for me too. Let me take a look at my connection real quick. Everything looks secure on my end. The RT seems to be pretty well connected. And Steve, if you need me to repeat something, I will be happy to repeat something. No worries.
Okay.
We will make this work, man. It's all good. All right, Adam, what'd you get?
Ramp. That will help out.
I rolled a 25.
25?
Yes.
You do a once around the ship, kind of worried that something may have broken off or smashed or somehow damaged your ship. But as you make your way around, you see that your ship was positioned so that there were a bunch of different cargo crates behind it that cushioned its fall. The impact of the ship smashed whatever was in those crates and completely destroyed it. But your ship seems to be intact. It doesn't seem to have suffered any sort of catastrophic damage. Maybe some scraped paint. Definitely needing some oil cleaned off of it. But other than that, it seems to be whole.
I'm going to go climb into it and head to the cockpit.
You see a familiar little droid at the top of the ramp, just sitting there waiting for you.
I'm gonna ramp and go hug Z and just be like, thank God you're not destroyed.
Z whistles and boops at you in recognition and appreciation for your concern.
Which is a miracle by Z standards that he says that without sarcasm.
Well, you can tell. You can tell that Z also recognizes the seriousness of the situation.
Like I said, I'm just gonna make my way to the cockpit, sit down, and attempt to start it up.
As you walk up into the cockpit, you smell that familiar incense smell. And as you go in, you see Vagu sitting in the co-pilot's chair. It is good to see you again, Captain. I presume that your head injury is not...
It is good to see you as well.
Excellent. I have been watching the ship in your absence, sir.
Try to repeat that, Lewis. You cut out a lot just now.
I have been watching the ship in your absence, sir.
Thank you. I see you seem to have... I have to guess that the fact that it's not busted apart is probably your doing, if I had to guess.
I had a small hand in keeping my skin intact.
Okay. Would you be able to possibly move the things that are laying on top of the Walnut so we could attempt to get out of here with it?
He gives you a small bow and then kind of hobbles out towards the outside of the ship. He's a very small creature, very ungainly, and frankly a little bit disturbing, but he still manages to make his way outside of the ship. And as you watch, you see him raise his hand. And after a little bit of concentration here, as the ATST that was laying on top of it seems to shift and then onto the decking, kind of shaking the area around. And as you watch him lift his hands again, you see now beads of sweat kind of going off the sides of his face as he concentrates again, and then just picks up this land speeder and hurls it to the other side of the cargo bay. I believe our ship is free of any impediments.
Wait, who did that?
That was Vagus.
Who's that?
You have not met Vagus yet.
Oh,
You don't
haven't met.
know.
Oh no. Oh no.
This is gonna be an interesting meeting.
Fogger is an interesting character, to say the least.
Oh, also, Adam, I love the fact that you completely did not pay any attention to the fact that I said Lynn and I had to stop her ship from going critical.
I actually did not hear you say that. I
He's-
didn't hear you say Lynn.
At this point in time, he's still recovering from his concussion, so it's easy to believe that, things passed. A concussion is kind of a hard
Are you
thing.
suffering from memory loss?
Well,
And
do you remember how you got into the hospital?
no.
That answers your question.
Do you remember who you are? Of course you do remember who you are.
Alright, I'm gonna start the ship up.
All right. As you get into the captain's chair and you fire it up, you hear the familiar and delightful hum as the ship's engines roar to life, and as you feel the repulsors activate under your very practiced grip, and as you move around to the engines, you turn it towards the exit bay and realize there's still approximately 30 to 40 feet of rock, dirt, and shale in front of you. So there...
I'm going to just lay into the dirt, rock, and shale with concussion missiles.
I'm gonna stand back.
Yeah, I'm gonna like use the intercom system and say, "All right, everyone stand back. I'm making a way to get out of here."
All right. I'd like for you to roll an attack.
Reroll that. Pilot check. Ooh, okay, that works. Say, probably. And one. I'm adding pilot check to that, so. Oh boy, that's a number.
A big number?
18 plus 25. That's a big number to hit.
That's going to be 43.
Yeah, it's a 43.
So, as you pick up the ship and you hover it just under the roof of the hangar bay, you point it towards right where there's a cluster of what looks like AT-STs and TIE fighters all tangled together in a mangled mess, and you fire the concussion missile right into it. It's really close proximity, and you see dirt and sparks and fire spit all around you as it cascades all around you. You leave a large gaping hole in the front, and your ship is going to suffer. The shockwave and the blowback of the concussion missiles at such close range is going to send shrapnel flying back at you. Did you have the shields up at this point?
I would guess so, because he usually turns one immediately, so...
Yeah, just as right before you fired the concussion missiles, you were thinking, it might be a better idea to slip on the shields. And you realize that was an excellent idea, as the pieces come flying back at you, and your ship suffers about 50 points worth of damage.
Ooh.
As the pieces and the explosions rock the ship, you actually have to struggle to keep the ship airborne, and you see this big old gaping hole where the dirt is, where all these vehicles and fighters had been, and there is now a blackened crater, but it is still dirt. You've made progress, but it's still closed.
How much more would I have to do to possibly get that to go all the way through?
About possibly another 20, 25 feet of dirt. Plus, the ship's weapon systems are designed to destroy vehicles and enemy craft. They're not really designed for digging.
I'm going to call out over the intercom. Is there anyone around here that has any explosives that would do very well for getting rid of this dirt?
Hey, Lewis.
Mining?
Yo, what's up, Lynn?
Like mining?
How well would Corwin work in this situation?
Corwin? At digging?
Yeah.
He would definitely give him about a few days. He could definitely dig it out.
Well, I could go help out too.
Okay, never mind.
Hey, every bit helps. So it's all a question about what y'all want to do.
I mean, I can go help out later when my character's done eating.
Yeah.
I do have thermite.
That power hammers are made for mining originally.
Actually, I'd like you to make a knowledge technology roll for that thermite explosive.
That is going to be a 38.
38? Alright. How much thermite explosive do you have on you?
How many thermite packs?
Yeah.
I have 3.
3? You would need approximately 25 thermite packs just to clear a hole through for you to crawl through. For the ship to go through, you'd need maybe about 200.
That's a lot of thermite.
Question, Lewis, are there still gas tanks and other things that would be very explosive nearby?
You look around the cargo bay and there are quite a bit. There's several fuel canisters, several weapons containers, several ammunition crates. There's a whole bunch of stuff all over the cargo bay.
Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and exit the Wonad
Alright.
and go around and call out to everyone, telling them to start moving fuel canisters and anything that could be possibly explosive,
Are
moving
you out
it
of your mind?
towards the hole.
Alright.
This ship already has enough holes as it is. Look.
Alright, who all is in the hangar bay right now? Alright, at this point in time, who all is in the hangar bay?
I'm in the hangar bay, but I'm starting to get the idea that I should probably leave.
You are at the start of this, you are showered with dirt, but you're outside of the blast radius. Hey Graham, is your character in there?
I believe he was in the cafeteria eating.
Yeah.
Ah, so he's still getting his protein fix?
I'm heading over there, so when I guess I'd be finished by now and heading over.
Alright, at this point in time, you would get into the ship just as you feel a rocking explosion. So you break into a run towards the hangar bay, just in time to see, and you squeeze through this little opening that's just barely big enough for you to fit through. As you look, you see now flaming bits of ship and vehicles and canisters strewn about, with the walnut just hovering right in front of this large mound of dirt that now has a smoking hole in the dirt and is obviously trying to make its way out.
What the fuck? It was like,
I just kind of wave my hand at the Tiger Man and I go...
You see this dirt-encrusted and mud-covered individual come running over to you. It takes you a minute, but you recognize this as
what
Tellus.
do you expect? This is not the dumbest thing I've ever seen with you.
Alright.
Okay. So...
how close to being able to have the one at fit?
Bless you.
Come again?
How close am I to having the one at being closer to fitting?
You have a hole about half the size of the ship in the dirt at this point in time, and in the middle of that hole is about 5 feet. So you have about approximately another 25 feet of dirt to move. So if you like it,
So we get 200 pounds worth of thermite. I'm sure there's got to be that somewhere on the ship.
all right, make a perception check.
All of it?
Everybody who's looking,
Check.
tell us. Go ahead and make a perception check for around the ship to see if you can spot any more explosives.
Okay. 27.
27?
Yeah.
All right. You take a look around your ship, knowing pretty much the standard Imperial methods for containment and for general storage. You look around at a couple of the crates. Some of them are smashed in, so obviously these are no good as ammunition anymore, so they might as well serve as explosives. And you find a couple others that seem to be sort of general fragmentation grenades, not a whole lot of explosive power to them. And then you go over to another section, which is TIE bomber proton torpedo loads that are that seem to be underneath what looks like a AT-AT. Now, they look like they've kind of been smashed in, so you're not sure if they're still functional or not. But from what you can see, their detonator warheads are still intact.
Should I roll a knowledge technology to see what a proton torpedo would do?
Oh, you would not need to roll to know that these would definitely blow a hole big enough to get you out.
Can you be any more annoying? Sorry.
I come over. Okay, so I may have an idea, but it might be a little crazy.
That's okay. I like crazy. You know this.
I'm talking about proton torpedo.
Ooh, that sounds fun. What did you do? What?
I should have said that. The stormtroopers are just listening to tell us. Just say I should have said. Yeah.
What
The Imperial engineers that are outside who are trying to fix the board take a look inside the door, and you see two heads kind of poking in, watching y'all move about and take a shot at some of the dirt mound in front of you and try to move around and take a look at all the supplies in there.
So we're seriously contemplating is a proton torpedo to cause us to move.
Yes. I mean, why not? Let's do it.
Not considering if it's going to happen. There's a difference.
I'm gonna make sure that I'm off the ship before this thing goes off.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go check for valuables real quick and then leave.
Alrighty, if you want to look around for anything valuable, that's going to be a perception check.
Okay.
Because activating proton torpedo inside close quarters cargo bay.
That's going to be rough.
Not sure that's gonna go well for whoever's inside the cargo bay.
28. That's why we move people out of the cargo bay for the time being. That's why detonators are a thing, Steven.
28?
28.
Alright, as you look around just for anything valuable, you sift through a couple of different weapons crates, you sift through emergency supplies, some crushed fuel containers, and then you see over in the corner a couple, what looks like a couple of melee weapons parts. And you also see some parts that say, for mercenary payment.
Yeah, I grab all of that.
Alright, it's kind of a big old crate. So you just grab it and you take it out.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna go sort through this later.
This is 10-foot Tiger Man that can lift, that can bench press.
Oh, he can easily grab
An
this.
SUV.
Oh yeah, he can easily grab this.
One-handing this giant crate, let's be honest.
It's not that big of a.
Full heavy Beskar Gom.
Honestly, this is more of a longer crate than it is a heavy crate. It's kind of unwieldy, but you got
Here,
it.
Sage.
Yeah, you got it.
Sorry.
Hello, Sage.
Just being a little shit.
Hold on, put it over my
All right, at this
I'm
point,
gonna come over to Lynn and I'm gonna warn her not to be anywhere near cargo bay. Wow.
Why?
And basically,
Let's just say Bandit's found a miss. Let's just say I may have made a mistake and I gave Bandit a proton torpedo.
Bam is awake then.
Well, never mind. I just have a feeling we're gonna be bringing it to a.
Alright, so I'm gonna like get the proton torpedo and anything else that might still be explosive, move towards the area with help.
Hey, but what are your
And move the walnut as far back away from said explosion area as possible.
all right.
Blow up a ship.
All right, this is going to take you probably the better part of an hour to pull this off.
Well, while they're
Okay,
doing
this
that, I'm
works.
gonna go through that crate I found.
All right. You take the crate
If it's
outside.
gonna take him an hour. Can he just take 20 to do this?
You can take 20, but there's going to be a part I'm going to need you to roll for because there's a whole bunch of different just loose fuel and explosive crates like the frag grenades, a couple of thermal detonators, a couple of different concussion missiles that you're not sure that they'll function. Their warheads look kind of damaged, but it's worth a shot. The what I'm going to have you roll for is the proton torpedoes lying underneath the AT-AT.
I can always go pick that up.
Yeah, I guess I'll call over to Ruckus and like, hey, and you go move some stuff.
God, what do you need me to pick up?
Wait, who are you calling to?
I got this.
Who are you calling to?
Ruckus.
Ruckus?
Yeah,
Alright, remind me, which one's Ruckus?
me, the Tiger Man.
Excellent. I would actually like... Okay, are you going to try to pick it up before or after you try to
You
open your
try and
crate?
Pick up an AT-AT with your bare hand?
Yes.
You can
Those
roll.
are tiger-
Okay.
You can
They're
roll for it.
Tiger hands, not bare hands.
Alright, are you going to try to open the crate before or after this happens?
Alright, what?
Wait.
The
wait,
crate of
you-
goods.
What's the thing?
The crate of goods that you have
there.
that's marked as mercenary payments. Do you want to open it now or later?
We can open it now if you want. We still have like a good point through everything.
I'll do it now while they're still moving everything.
All right, as all the others are moving parts and crates around, you see Tellus taking a barely functioning hover sled and pulling a couple of crates of what looks like fragmentation grenades, and you see Banis just rolling this big old barrel of fuel over towards the doorway. You take your crate over towards the side. Are you going to try to open it outside of prying eyes?
I found like a nice little hidden spot.
All right, you go over behind what look like a couple of the fallen crates, behind what looks like maybe spare uniforms and a couple of extra spare parts for different equipment pieces, and you crouch down just out of sight, and you take a look at this box. You go to open it, and you see that it has a little container seal. As you turn the container seal towards you, you notice that it is code locked.
It's what?
It is code locked. It has what you didn't notice before was a little keypad of little 5x5 numbers, and it has a little digital display on it. This is obviously locked.
You would be able to open.
Somebody who's good at either hacking or technology.
Are you Ian Tellus?
So I'm gonna see if Banis has a little bit of free time. Favor for a favor.
I love how Adam suggested me that he's gonna see if man has free time.
That's good technology, right?
Him going to the person that's about to. Oh, and by the way, I'm outside the ship now. And I go over to some of the more sergeants and the like lieutenants and everything, and I just kind of tell everyone to make to evacuate everyone from the blast radius.
All right. Admiral Pelion is there. He's got his bandage strapped across his head and a little further down, kind of cockeyed, but he's still attached. A little bit of blood seeping through, but he seems to be functional. So, all right, sir, we got whatever you say, sir. If you like, I can try to contact a few of our allies, see if they can provide some heavier equipment, see if they can't free up the hangar bays that much easier.
Well, I hate to say this, but I think Bannis just found a proton torpedo.
Oh dear. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Right.
So
Right.
he's just gonna blow his way out.
Understood, sir. He gets on the comms. All right, everyone, evacuate the starboard side of the spatial vector now. All hands. Port side immediately. Starboard side evacuate. Move, move, move. As they get, and
God.
you hear running and footsteps as everybody goes. I'm sorry, sir. Ordinarily, I wouldn't call this kind of a reaction, but we've had so many damaged parts. We've had so many impacted pieces and different sections of the spatial vector undergo catastrophic damage that I am honestly not certain what an explosion will do. If an explosion of a great enough magnitude,
I'm not either.
it-
And that's what. Wait, should I roll down? Can I roll knowledge technology to see what this would do to my ship?
well, it's taking you about 15-20 minutes to get up there, and you spent about 15-20 minutes helping them get stuff down there. So at about the time he's opening the crate, certainly, go ahead, make a roll.
Okay, and I'm guessing I would get advantage to this because this is my ship.
You designed this ship, absolutely. Roll again and take the higher of the two rolls.
Wait, roll and take the higher of the two?
That is correct.
Yeah, he rolls a minute.
Okay.
There are two different kinds of advantage.
Well, that higher of the two is a natural 20.
Excellent.
Oh, God.
You've seen around the ship, you know that it's taken a lot of damage, but you also know that the engines are off and the only fuel lines and fuel accessible points that would cause any kind of cascade reaction are either shut down or moved away. So, any kind of explosion on that side of the ship, while it would damage the ship, that section of the ship is already severely damaged and going to need an overhaul anyway. So, if it's a not...
Basically like kicking a dead horse.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. I kind of reach over to Pelion and I go, alright, well, fortunately, for my thoughts about the ship, it wouldn't damage the ship any more than it probably already is. So,
Understood, sir.
it would be like kicking a dead horse.
Understood, sir. But I'm still going to observe certain safety protocols, sir. You know,
Yeah,
for...
now, obvious safety precautions are, good man. Good man.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right, Ruckus.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm currently looking for Bannis or Talus.
all right, Bannis. At this point in time, while you're rolling a couple of different crates over towards your now growing pile of explosive material in front of this large mound of dirt and starting to fill up the hole that you made with your concussion missile, you see Ruckus coming on over towards you with what looks like a crate.
What you got there, Ruckus? I got me a code lock that I need broken. Put that on the wall that for now. You mean the thing you're about to put next to a giant explosive fireball?
No, I'm moving that away. No, that's getting... Not blood. Fuck that. That's not happening.
I know what you're planning, and I have a whatever. If you think it's gonna be safe, I'll trust you. So I guess I'll go put that in a secure location up there. You got any favors you need me to do while we do this?
I would, if you could you move that as I point towards the AT-AT? That, or at least move it so we can...
Just try to move at 18. How much
That
is it?
sounds fun. Let's do it.
Hey, Ruckus.
Lewis, remind me, how much does an AT-AT weigh?
A lot. All right. Ruckus, I would like you to roll a d20 and add your intelligence modifier.
Intelligence.
Yep.
18 19.
19, nice. You take a look at this AT-AT, and you realize that while you can shift some parts, you're not going to be able to get everything out from underneath it, and once you do, it's going to collapse. So the more you take out from under this AT-AT, the more likely it is to fall on top of you. So you're going to have to be very careful as to what you do and do not pull out. And as you look around, you also see
Anything to put under it's like the stabilizer so it doesn't collapse.
you also see underneath it, these are explosives.
Yes.
I have a plan.
So you can definitely
I come into my ship and call for Bagu.
Yes, sir. Vagus is right next to you. He's rolling what looks like he's picking up what looks like this smaller crate with his abilities. He's not touching it with his bare hands. He's just raising a hand and moving stuff. He's kind of been moving stuff alongside you, just not nearly as much because he's much smaller.
I'm like, ugh. Okay. Would you be able to assist in lifting certain pieces of here so we can remove the proton torpedoes and whatnot out from under the AT-AT?
You
Don't
notice
lift the whole thing, just parts, slowly moving different.
I'm gonna come over to your ship and go, Banus, what's the sit rep down there?
We're still trying to remove the proton torpedoes to be able to put them in place.
Problem is, after we remove them, the thing's gonna want to collapse on me.
Yeah.
So we need something to stabilize it, like some like metal beams or something, or just like metal poles or something you can put under there, like to help us stabilize it while I'm holding it. Then I
You
can
do
use the-
realize Lynn is here, right?
Who?
Wait, Lynn's here?
Who?
Where's Lynn? I haven't seen her in years.
Sounds familiar.
You wouldn't have. Oh, never mind. I would have, but no, you wouldn't have.
Let me get her on the comm. Lynn,
Yes, tell us.
could you be a wonderful dear and go into the cargo bay where the Wonet is and help make sure that they don't kill themselves? They're trying to move an AT-AT, and it's not going well.
Right.
I don't know what you're talking about. I haven't even attempted to do it yet.
I'll be there in a moment.
Thank you.
while you're doing this, Vagus turns to you, sweat obviously dripping down his face. I am sorry. I have already moved as much as I can. I have strained my abilities. As I have said before, I am not a combat-capable individual, and my abilities are sadly limited.
Damn Bagus.
Stop it.
Thank
I
you
got
for
it.
at least trying to.
I got it. Oh, good.
Oh no.
Can I get here just in time to see whatever is happening?
We have to move them out fast.
Please.
Get some,
All right.
like,
At this point in time, you get on board the ship. You see a little bit of commotion. See a few people running back and forth. See you hear a few alarms and a few notifications of evacuation of the starboard side of the ship. And as you go down this ramp over to the side of the which has once been the ship's deck, down towards the side of what to where you know from Tellus's direction that the Walnut is parked. You see the same crunched in sliding door that has the welded piece taken out of it. You step through and you see right beyond it a few individuals, including Ruckus, which is this tall, furred, tiger-looking creature who is just lugging pieces around and throwing them towards what looks like a filling crater of dirt that was once the exit point for the launch bay. Bannis taking grenades and throwing them on top of the pile, and then this little creature who just seems to be taking little bits at a time and adding them to the pile of what is obviously flammables and explosives.
So, what kind of psi are we going to...
Tellus then comes up behind you. Tellus then comes up behind you, walking in right after you do. Because
See, it's gotten even worse since last I left.
How did this happen? Tell us.
Oh, it started with it started with the concussion from this morning, and then Dennis was like, "Where's my shit?" And then he hugged Z, which was a miracle, and then I guess I haven't had enough caffeine because I may or may not approach repeat order AT-AT. Lynn, I give you full permission to slap me later. Not right now, and not in front of any of my men, because they will immediately treat you as hostile, but, away from everyone else, you have permission to give me a good smack.
Why would I move the AT-AT to give him access to the thing that could cause an explosion?
Well, whether or not you help, I'm picking it up regardless.
You can try.
I will.
That was in character.
Thanks.
alright.
But I guess Vance wasn't really paying attention, and Killy kind of slowly turns around and sees Lynn and just like bolts over to her. She hasn't seen her in like 30 or so years. She's into the Clone Wars.
Alright.
And you're gonna get tackled by Vance and a hug.
You're gonna make an attack roll to tackle her?
Yes. But I'll make sure doesn't damage her. She's just gonna get hugged very violently.
You're doing this while you're under
That's a
the
grapple check.
concussion.
Alright, so you're resisting it?
She probably would sidestep it or something.
Alright, because unless you want to actively avoid getting hugged, then it's a...
She wants to avoid getting tackled.
Is Banus looking to tackle or to hug?
To hug.
Oh, then, yeah. Then, there's no rolls necessary. He's just barreling on
over.
over...
Like a 34 anyway.
You gotta...
34 to hug.
Well, unless you're actively looking to do her damage, then don't worry about it. You just...
No.
Yeah, you see this blur out the corner of your vision as you're talking to Tellus. As you look over, you see Banus just booking it right at you, screeching to a halt right in front of you, giving this big old bear hug.
Hello to you too.
I haven't seen you in like 30 years. Why would I not give you a hug?
Indeed, it's been a long time.
Well, as you can see, the ship's kind of stuck, so we're getting it out.
Hey Lewis, how much dirt would constitute one mass?
What is one mass of dirt?
Honestly,
Alright,
I would...
that's not context.
I would honestly leave that up to you, because if you wanted to move like 4 or 5 pounds of it, that's honestly just a small amount. If you wanted to move anywhere between, if you wanted,
No. You have to do how much constitutes one mass of dirt.
Hold on, Lewis, I gotta pull something up real quick.
it all depends on how much you want to move at the same time. If you want to move as much as a shovel's full, that would be the equivalent of 5 pounds or less. That honestly would not even take a roll. But if you wanted to move the entire thing, then you'd have to roll pretty damn high.
Well, what's the highest? Like colossal or something like that?
Correct.
Wait,
This is.
you have Jedi Master, right?
Let's put it to you this
Yeah.
way.
Don't you have Serenity, which allows you to go into a trance, and then your next thing is
Yeah.
like natural 20?
Yeah, I do.
So you could do that if you like.
Yeah, I think I'm probably gonna do that. She's just like, okay,
Give me a minute.
no explosives, just give me a second. She sits down to meditate for a moment before standing back up. Okay, just leave this to me.
Alrighty.
So that's gonna be like a total 49.
49.
That's a natural 20, 49.
Yeah, that's a nat 20, 49.
Alrighty. As you sit down, you cross You sit cross-legged on the floor. You extend your hands out to the side in the obvious pose of meditation. And it takes you a good few minutes. 2 minutes. 3 minutes pass. And then everybody in the cargo bay hears a shifting. A low rumbling in the floor. As you see what right in front of you was a collection of dirt and rubble and pieces of broken ships and different parts of fighters, and this mound of dirt just starts shifting slowly to one side as one part moves itself over to the side, almost like flowing water, over to the left, curling over and out of the way. And as you watch, the other side curls over and out of the way in a similar fashion to water. And as the bottom fills in with all these broken pieces, you see them float up into the air. Broken AT-ATs, AT-STs, all sorts of mechanical parts, pieces, crates. They all shift back over to the back wall with a rush of air, and woof, as it all parts out of the way, leaving the entire runway, the entire part of the whole cargo bay, open to the front and accessible.
Vance is like, you've come a long way from throwing things straight up in the air.
The same principle, right?
Yeah, I guess. Alright, Ruckus. Go over the AT-AT leg. We're still putting those proteins in the ship. I got this. Let's go.
Alright, make a strength check.
Don't need the proton torpedo anymore.
But we want it. It can be useful.
We're not seriously considering lugging a proton torpedo on board the WONAT.
Why not?
What are you gonna do? Nuke our problems away?
I mean,
I could.
What'd
We
you?
tried that against the Sith Lord.
it could be
It didn't
great for
work.
space battles.
I mean,
Drop it out of the back, turn around, and shoot it.
What did you roll for your strength check?
12. Yeah. Is that a strength check, right?
Yeah.
So 12 plus 7, 19.
A 19? You wrap both your hands around what looks like one of the looser ones, and you yank, and then you hear as the whole metal piece just settles a little bit more on top of you, and it looks a little bit closer to your head, but it hasn't collapsed. And as you look at the other proton torpedoes, they seem a little impacted, as though the weight is forcing them more and more into the deck. And as you slowly back up, you realize the more you take out, the more likely it is going to fall. So you now have one proton torpedo. It is rather large, even for you. It's kind of almost the size of a desk. It's pretty big, and it's surprisingly heavy, even for you. You kind of have to half drag it, half pull it across the deck.
That works. That's all we need. We only need one.
We only need the one?
We only need the one.
Let's try for a second.
No, we only need the one. The one will be fine. We only need one proton torpedo.
I don't know. I think you. It's not. Why kill when you can overkill?
Your proton torpedo is overkill.
What if it's not for something?
It's a nuke.
So.
Proton torpedo is
Alright, it's
overkill.
kinda
What if it's not overkill?
Well, yeah, we'll just move that onto the WONAT.
All right. Without a whole lot of fuss and bother,
a proton torpedo on.
you now have a proton torpedo in the cargo bay of the WONAT.
Give me a minute.
Back at it again. I love it.
Well, I don't have a proton torpedo launcher, but we can always just push said proton torpedo out the back while Ruckus just has his magnet boots activated.
Well, at this point in time, you have it. So congratulations.
All right. Awesome. That will. I guess I'll like get Rockets to move it over an area where I can like strap it down. I guess, or it roll back and forth across the cargo bay.
Okay, now come help me open my crate.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna go over and go assist him with the crate.
Get Talus.
Yeah. And, hey, tell us. We
need
found
your help.
something we need your help with. Oh wait, he's not here right now. He left.
Oh, damn.
Tellet seems to be in the middle of a conversation with one of the Imperial Engineering orderlies, and he seems to be a bit preoccupied at the moment, but he might be available in a few minutes.
Hey, Lewis.
Oh
Yo.
my god, Adam.
I think I opened the crate.
What'd you roll?
Nat 20.
Natural
Thanks
20?
to Knack. Yeah, thanks to Knack.
Alright, so you've used your knack for the day. As you take a look at this keypad, you remember from your time in the Clone Wars that there was a favorite combination of certain officers that was really easy to remember, but it was very difficult to make. So you just push it in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Click, it opens.
Alright.
What do we get?
What's inside?
All right, as y'all take a look inside this long crate of metallic pieces, you open it up and you see this long, what you recognize, Ruckus, as the power hammer that clocked you in the chest. It's still got a little bit of your blood on the tip, but it's still in there. You also see what looks like 3 different suits of obvious. You see 3 different what looks like jumpsuits, but as you pull one out, you see the technological shimmer, as this obviously has more to it than just being a black jumpsuit. As you feel the heavy weight and heft of it, it also seems to shimmer a little bit more in the light. You also see in the pack 2 heavy blaster pistols, and as you pull these all to the side, you see what looks like emeralds at the bottom. And you remember that you pulled a bunch of different emeralds from the Belbringi shipyard depositories, and somebody looking to pay their mercenaries had obviously set these aside for you guys at a later date. And you pull out 5 large emeralds. And you guesstimate that they may be worth 2,000 credits apiece, so it's probably 10,000 credits worth of gems right there. And then further down at the bottom, you see what looks like rolled up, a couple of different scrolls. As you unfold them, you see these are art pieces. These are beautifully made different art pieces by some, roll me a galactic knowledge check.
$16.
16? They look pretty, and you've seen a couple of them that look like they've been, a repeat. You've seen somebody copy this kind of a work before. It looks pretty important. Oh yeah, it looks like it was intricately well painted and made very well. Like, there's oil paintings, and there's parts of it, and there's different smatterings of different color, and the depictions of a large grassland with a beautiful city over in the distance. It looks like it was made by somebody who knew what they were doing, and it looks really pretty. But other than that, you're not really sure what it is. And over at the bottom, it has Belivrius de Sardin over at the bottom.
Guys, what?
Belivrius de Sardin is written in paint over at the bottom.
Okay.
That's
some pretty interesting stuff.
now I'm gonna put everything back except for the pistols and the power hammer. I'm just gonna lock that again.
Oh, wait, what were those jumpsuits? Like,
Oh yeah, those. I'm gonna leave those out
Yeah.
too. But all like the jewels and stuff, I'm gonna put back in the chest and relock it.
Alrighty.
I know.
Hey, Banis, roll a galactic lore check for me.
20. No, wait, it's at
No,
12.
no.
Okay.
it's going to be unnatural 20.
An unnatural 20.
But don't forget.
You remember a little bit. It's the painting looks really pretty. You've seen it in a couple of different places, and you recognize the name Desardin. That is a recently famous painter who's made a couple of different works, but honestly, you aren't really into the art world, so you honestly don't know a whole lot about it, other than this person was famous at one point in time. So maybe this painting's worth something.
Well, I was asking about the jumpsuits.
And the jumpsuits, that would take a technology roll.
Oh, that I can definitely do.
I'm not gonna sit.
Jeopardize, funny guys go here. That is going to be a. Actually, that's right at a 30.
That's a 30?
Yeah.
As you take a look at these suits, you recognize one of these as a stealth suit. These are different things that are used by commandos and assault troops to hide in the shadows and to keep out of sight. This is a piece of equipment that essentially adds +5 to your stealth roll.
Ben's gonna look at these a bit. And he's gonna go put one on under his flight suit.
And that's the beauty of these things. They can slip on underneath things as well. But if they are on underneath something, you do not get the benefit of the +5 stealth.
Oh, we can just strip.
Okay, so I have. Yeah, I mean that wouldn't be bad. It's not a problem.
Alright. Easy enough. You take off your regular garments and replace it with the jumpsuit. And it seems to almost cling like latex, but then once you get it on, you hear this little hum as it readjusts itself so that it covers almost your entire body, and it wields into your face, almost to your eyes, but it stops right at your nose, eyes, and mouth so that you can breathe and feel, but it has almost got you completely covered.
Alright, is there any way I can, remove, the head section of the jump piece and then put my clothing back on? That way I can just strip and then pull that on if I need to go stealth?
Easy enough. You actually pull it back, and it seems rather receptive to whatever you want it to do. As you pull it back, it lays back quite easily. And unlike latex, which you just pull and yank on everything, it just releases.
Okay.
Oh.
And then I'm gonna put my clothes back on and head back out.
Alright.
Before you go, interesting fact about this power hammer in these suits. I'm pretty sure they were used by the guys that tried to sabotage Talos' ship during that the other day. Because I remember getting hit in the chest with this damn thing.
Well, it's yours now.
Yes.
Wait, another question. What happened to the power hammer we were making him?
Yeah, I was gonna go check on that later.
That's a good question.
We should go check on that.
Alrighty. While y'all are rummaging through the stuff and going through the different materials, Lynn and Tellus, what are y'all up to?
Lynn's probably gone back outside to where Corwin is and is, I don't know, she might have headed back to the monastery at this point, I'm not sure.
Alrighty. As you head back to the monastery, Corwin kind of just sees you from a ways off and bounds towards you, and it's kind of off-putting, but you have come to understand that this horse-sized canine means you no harm and is gentle enough, just happy to see you, as he wags his tail and as he comes up towards you, and he kind of nuzzles his head under your arm, which a horse-sized dog head is rather almost throws you off balance, but is still affectionately meant.
Wait, is this dog just like the one Talik has?
No.
Okay.
Corwin,
God.
Corwin is a Finn wolf.
Okay, thank God. It doesn't smell like ass. Okay.
Alright. As you and Corwin start walking your way past some of the tents and some of the landed transports up towards the steps of the monastery, you see a figure standing there, staff in hand, and you feel a little bit of a ripple in the force of worry.
Do I know this figure? Is it the High Prophet?
You know this figure very well. This is the High Prophet. And right at his elbow is his right-hand man and extra muscle. His consistent shadow.
I approach him.
Ah, good. I was hoping you would make your way here. The High Prophet addresses... and just steps down a couple of steps. His advanced age kind of keeping him from being very mobile, so these hurried steps toward you, obviously lending an air of urgency. I cannot find my friend Codarius anywhere.
What?
My friend, the one... You remember, he got a report the other day that his daughter has gone
Yes.
missing.
Yes.
I cannot find him.
That's odd. He asked for us to take him with us whenever we left the planet.
That is correct, and I would hope that you would travel together. But I cannot seem to find him, and I do not know where he has gone.
Of course. I will attempt to find him as quickly as I can.
Thank you.
Alright, Luce, I would like to roll a use of force check.
Do it.
I would like to scan as far as I can to... Get off my laptop! To sense his presence.
Corwin attacks the laptop.
I'm pretty sure he'd be better than the piranha on my bed. Yes, I'm talking about you.
All right.
Okay. That's going to be 17, so that's 46.
46? All right. You reach out with your mind, and as you reach out, you feel all around you. You feel the grasses underfoot, the people who are now setting up their dwellings. You feel the newly placed ships, the upturned grass, the mountains all around, and you search out for anything that's not supposed to be there, or something out of place, or something that's trying to hide. And as you look around, you feel this tiny little blip. You almost overlook it, almost think that it was someone's emotion, fear, worry, resolve. Then you feel the same different aura that you had felt around the friend of the High Prophet, and you recognize that he's over there. He's on board one of the civilian transport ships.
All right. I look back at the High Prophet and tell him that I've found him.
Oh, that was mercifully fast. Where is he at this point?
He's on one of the civilian transport ships.
Please, take me to him. We will speak to him and see if we can give him some guidance.
Can he ride Corwin?
It takes you a little bit, about 2 or 3 minutes of adjustment, but you manage to get the High Prophet up on top of Corwin, who is kind of bemusedly watching this happen and crouches down to allow for better access for the High Prophet. Alright, and as y'all make your way down towards the plains with a whole bunch of different vehicles and transports, you see the one transport that you had been looking at, the one that you had pinned to be the friend of the High Prophet on. Just suddenly its engines glow to life, and a whole bunch of people just stand back going, "Hey, what is that? Everybody!" And then you see the landing ramp on the civilian transport pull up, and then it start to hover off the ground, and then start taking off towards the atmosphere.
Can I roll a move object check to see if I can hold it down long enough for us to get there?
It is a long way away, and that is a colossal transport. You can try.
Move object.
You can try.
I will try.
Absolutely, give it a shot.
Does a 32 make it?
As you stretch out with your hand trying to hold the ship
Oh,
itself.
no. It's 42. I'm sorry.
42? Ooh. As you
Yeah.
stretch out with your hand, this time with an urgency towards as you feel the hull of the ship, you latch onto it with the fingers of the Force, and you see the ship halt in midair for a moment. And as it pulls away, a few of its hull plates come loose as it pulls out of your grasp and continues on.
Oh,
This is a big transport. This is a big transport. This was designed to carry thousands of people. It's kind of massive. It's like stealing a bus and it's like stealing a bus and trying to hold it with your hands as you try and hold onto it with the Force as it slips out and just rockets away out towards open space.
how far away are we from the port?
From the port, you're a 5-minute hovercraft ride or about an hour and a half walk.
What about by Corwin?
By Corwin, it would take you at full tilt run. He'd probably take you there in about 5 minutes.
All right, I tell the High Prophet to hang on and steer him towards the port.
No, wait. Do you not have ships? He points over toward the spatial vector.
Wait, what?
He
What
points
did you
over.
say? I'm sorry.
He points over towards the spatial vector, which now has this large ramp of dirt that is moved out of the way of the hangar bay. As he points toward it, are there not ships that could take after it?
You're right. I calm Banis and Tellus.
Banis, at this point in time, you're just closing up the case. You're just getting
wait,
the suit
Banis
on.
isn't here right now. You have to go do something. I have to go do something.
Gotcha.
Oh.
Banis is in the middle of changing his clothes. He doesn't have his comm on him right now. As Ruckus, your comm starts to chirp at you, and Tellus, your comm starts to chirp at you too.
Huh.
Hello?
Yeah.
Tellus, we need ships. The Lonat now.
Okay. Yep. Relay, bump, do thing.
All right, you'll make a hurried rush. You'll drop what y'all are doing, and you'll get on board the Walnut. As you get on board, it takes you a few minutes to get everything out towards the ramp up. All people on board, the High Prophet situated, and as you get into the ship, you rocket out using Banis's familiarity with the ship. Out of the ship, just buzzing the entire transport town below you as you rocket up towards this transport ship right in front of you that has now broken the atmosphere. As you get closer and closer, you see the transport ship being approached by what looks like one of the Ascendancy Star Destroyers as it tries to demand, obviously, to find out what this transport's intentions are. As the transport turns to the side, and as you watch, it elongates and then jumps into hyperspace.
Okay, give me a recap of what's going on because
Lynn's just kind of like she was in the cockpit and she's just kind of standing and staring and just like got this face of shit.
The High Prophet reaches over towards you, puts a hand on your forearm, tells you, "This is not your doing. This is his. He is on his own path. He has chosen his own way. You must also choose yours." As he looks out towards the stars, "Please take us back to the planet. He is beyond our reach now." As Banis takes the Walnut back down towards the planet and lands right in front of the spatial vector, right outside the landing bay that is now freshly cleared and accessible to anyone who needs to get in and out of it. All right.
Alright, so Steven, out of character, would you like a recap real quick?
Yes, please.
So you remember the High Prophet's friend?
Yeah. Glad
Yeah. Yes, he was missing, and the High Prophet couldn't find him, and he was worried. So Lynn used the Force to find him, and he was on that ship.
Oh.
Oh, indeed.
Well, this isn't great.
He stole one of the civilian transports and took off.
What is it with everyone stealing my crap and blowing it up?
Well,
Didn't blow it up. Not yet.
at this point in time, you get your comm chirps tell us. Brrrr, brrrr.
Hello?
You recognize this as the comm link of the Chiss First Citizen.
Oh, boy.
Oh no. Yes?
Am I to
Mr.
under-
Citizen?
What is going on? I have reports that you have ships that are entering our atmosphere and exiting into hyperspace. I thought we had an agreement.
Lynn, I feel as though you'd be better off to explain this situation. This is a complete misunderstanding that we can explain. And so, I put it on speaker so Lynn can relay what's going on. She's better informed than I am.
Alrighty. And after a few minutes of banter, of back and forth, and bringing the high prophet in to fill in some blanks and some informational parts, you bring the First Citizen up to speed as to what's going on, including how he stole the transport ship and took off. Is everybody okay there?
Yeah.
Okay, because I hear a lot of stuff going on in the background.
What's going on over there?
I'm sorry, Sage is extremely thirsty.
Okay.
I'll just.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I just wanted to make sure that nobody was either getting toppled over or was in trouble or something.
Run over by a tank.
Exactly. So it was more out of curiosity than anything else. All right. As you make your way down, and as the First Citizen is being brought back up to speed on the whole scenario, you hear him over the comm link. Yeah, that is unfortunate, but I must still insist that you continue on your missions to continue to bring in our allies. And if you have chosen the Colicoids as your first mission, then I highly recommend that you get on with it as soon as possible, because to get new ships, we would need to start construction now, and sooner is always better than later.
Of course, First Citizen. We will be on our way as soon as we can make the proper preparations.
I understand, and I appreciate the involvement of the prophets.
All right. Well, good. So we'll get everything prepared and ready to go.
Excellent. I leave it to you then, as the First Citizen hangs up on his comm.
Okay. So, would that be like a knowledge tactics to see what would be a good idea to bring with us? I mean, we are obviously bringing our newest member of the newly and be it sporadically formed Rainbow Six.
All right. Even a knowledge tactics check, you don't even need to make a roll for it to know that you need more information. You need to know what you're getting into. You don't know enough about what kind of enemy you're facing. And the first step in any campaign of any kind is knowledge and information. So you need to gather some information as to what you're facing, how you're going to, before you go about figuring out how you're going to face it.
Okay, so that's a gather information check then?
That is either a gather information check,
Or you can go talk to your new Colicoid friend.
Okay, well, we'll do the latter then, considering that he's coming with us.
I would like to accompany Tellus to go speak with them this time.
Oh, Adam's back.
Yeah, I'm back now.
Yay! Welcome back, Adam. We stole your ship.
I'm Beto, but nice to meet you.
Yeah, we stole your ship.
I mean, I would probably own the ship anyway.
You were piloting. Bannis was piloting.
Yeah. But I had the ship.
We're just joking. Adam.
I know.
No worries, bro. To bring you up to speed, the friend of the High Prophet took a ship, stole it, and took off in it. Y'all gave chase in the Walnut, and the friend of the High Prophet escaped into hyperspace with his stolen ship before anybody could stop him.
Always stealing or blowing up my crap. It's like, do I need to make a public service announcement to my entire crew? Don't steal or blow up any of our crap.
At this point in time, you head back over to the Glass Pillar, which is where you had met with your Colicoid friend previously. In your exiting the hovercraft, you see the same steps, the same lavishly decorated exterior, and as you enter and look around, you find that the Colicoid is not there. You make a couple of inquiries. Go ahead and roll a gather information check.
Okay, so gather information.
Yep.
That is going to be a 26.
You also get a
What are
plus.
we rolling for?
Gather information.
Wait, what'd you say, Adam?
You get a +2 because I roll 2. You got
Oh, okay, so that's a 28 now.
Excellent. Good, good. With a couple of careful inquiries and a couple of pointed questions, you go around and you even go into the kitchens to to what is essentially the local butcher, who, as you notice, the Colicoids had obviously had a love for their carnivorous cuisine. And as you talk to him, you realize that while there is no official ambassadorial residence for these creatures, there has been a large shipment of meats that have been directly transported from the Glass Pillar over toward this specific address.
Okay, so I'm guessing that we should probably head there then.
Alrighty. As you make your way towards, you pass up a couple of nicer looking buildings over towards what looks like maybe what you could constitute as possibly a shack? Maybe some sort of old and overgrown wooden structure, which kind of strikes you as odd considering all the trappings and all of the ambassadorial extras that had gone on before. You walk up to what is obviously this very, very small building, and you knock on the door a couple of times. Doom, doom, doom. You see a knock on the other side, responded, and then the door opens, and you recognize the species as Colicoid, but this is not the Colicoid that you have spoken to before. This is another one. This one's smaller, roughly about your size.
Yeah.
Still-
Lewis, could you reiterate a bunch of that? Because there was a lot of lag in the...
Gotcha. The place that you traveled to that all these meats are being shipped to is a smaller kind of rundown building that is not on the official registry, but is the only place that your trail leads. So once you go up to this door, you knock a couple of times, you wait, and then your knock is responded to on the other side, and then it's opened by a Colicoid that does not look like the Colicoid you spoke to. This one looks younger, greener, healthier. This one looks like his armor is a little bit thicker at the sides. He looks more youthful and more energetic.
Oh, okay.
He holds up a claw and hands you.
Translator.
He holds up a claw and hands you a monocle.
Okay, I know the drill. I put the monocle on.
All right. He chirps and clicks at you. What brings your business here?
We're getting ready to embark on our mission to go and with your spiritual problem one.
The Colicoid takes a look at you, looks over your shoulder, and waves a claw. You look behind you and see several shimmers coalesce into colloquids that had claws extended right behind you, ready to take action should the situation call for it. But given that the doorman called them off, they stood down. The colloquid backs up and indicates behind him what you couldn't see before is a stairway, a metallic stairway, a very well lit, that leads as down into what looks like a far better kept, very clean area, which is completely nonplussing given the ramshackle exterior of this area.
Okay, so I'm assuming that he's in here.
He gestures you forward with his mandibles, saying, "The bringer of victory awaits your arrival."
Oh, well, fantastic! Thank you. And so I go ahead and head downstairs.
Alrighty, as you head on inside, the first thing that you notice is that it is very bright. It is almost blindingly bright in here. You have to kind of squint your eyes. It's like midday sun all the time in here. As you go down the steps, you see that there's not a whole lot of decoration on the sides of the walls, and as you pass further and further in, you see the metal give way to what looks like stone that is beautifully carved and manipulated into what looks like waves and plants and grasslands and beautiful natural figurines all along the wall, so that you instantly recognize that while this species does not have much in physical decoration, it has a lot in its construction decoration. This is obviously a species that holds a lot of store in what it builds and what it makes. And as you walk in, you see hanging from the ceiling these beautifully crafted lights fixtures that are in the shape of different beings holding torches and lamps and lanterns all around. And as you walk in, you kind of squint, seeing 3 or 4 other colloquids flanking the sides of this rather large colloquid in the center that you recognize as the colloquid you'd seen before. He's seated in front of what looks like a cylindrical piece in the center, and he is perched on top of what looks like a stone bubble with a cushion on top of it. He seems to be kind of curled up in front of it with his claws draped on this stone table in front of him. He just seems to be waiting as he gestures you forward.
Okay, and I proceed forward.
Alright, as you proceed forward and take a seat, he says, "I take it you are ready for our endeavor."
Yep, ready to go when you are.
Excellent. We will leave this evening.
Perfect.
And now I will tell you of what we face, so you may make proper preparations.
Alright.
The Mountains of Pain were the birthplace of my hive. We were sold from the colloquid creation nest on Kala 4 to Imperial researchers who, he twitches a bit, tortured us, mangled us, made us into what they wanted as weapons. His claws start sheathing and unsheathing in obvious unpleasant memories. But they did not succeed in breaking our will. We held strong and broke free. When we broke free, we fought, and we killed. We were given an offer by a creature who also fought the Imperials, a creature made of gold. This creature promised us freedom, power, wealth, prosperity, if we had an alliance with them. It gave us all of the promises, to which we readily agreed in our naivete.
And I'm assuming it did not deliver. Rather, it stole.
He clicks his mandibles and nods. It went poorly. The torture continued, except willingly. The pain grew worse, except when we tried to rebel, we were forced into submission. Our queens were slaughtered. Our warriors brutally changed. So we were forced to obey for a short time. We found allies on the outside. We fought the Empire and gained help. This help destroyed this creature that had us enslaved. I believe you call them the First Order.
There's that name again. First Order.
And as you say the words First Order, you hear clicking of all the other colloquids in this brightly lit room as they bow their heads, clicking their mandibles together, and your little screen shows that they all say in unison, the First Order.
Huh.
Now, forgive me, I'm not familiar. I mean, I've been here to the Ascendancy in the past, but this First Order is new to me. Would you mind informing me of what you know about them?
I have had the honor of knowing them personally. I met with several members of the First Order. They are stoic. They are kind. They are brutal when the time calls for it, healing when the time calls for it, diplomatic when the time calls for it. They are what we needed, and they are our liberators. They gave us freedom when we were given lies and slavery. He clicks his mandibles together. They are honored among my people.
Very good.
They are the reason we consider the Ascendancy worthy of alliance.
All right.
As of now, we are growing. We have industry. We have imports. We have exports. Our people did well for a time. After a few months passed, we had looked to expand our resources and our capabilities, and we sent out scouts to find and map more of this planet. They never returned. We sent more scouts to find out what had happened to them. They never returned. Finally, we sent a hunting party of 30 volunteers, colonists, who lived on the planet, who were looking for their loved ones, and 20 of my finest warriors. They all went on a hunt, expecting to find creatures of the land who had attacked their people. What they found, he shakes, as obviously the unpleasantness of the report comes back to him. They found my brethren enslaved, hollow, unfeeling, bereft of life, but moving, with golden collars about their necks, pulling hover sleds filled with the living and the dead of all races. And they were guarded by creatures who wielded weapons of gold. They fell upon them. They attacked. They fought. A handful of my warriors and of the scouts got away. And at the end of this defeat, they were approached by a being who was clad in gold and wore a hood made of red, who invited them up to the mountains of pain whenever they were ready to talk. A hush comes over the room as the colloquids obviously did not like this report, and you feel a definite air of tension and fear as this report is made. This is
I kind of look over to Lynn and I say, does this sound a lot like the dark side to you? Is there a Lynn in the room? There is a muted
Yes,
Lynn.
I'm here.
it's,
Sorry, I'm trying to make lunch at the same time.
no worries. Hey, if we need to take a break at some point in time, just let me know.
I'm good. I'm just multitasking.
Sweet.
She stands and while she is obviously listening, her eyes have sort of drifted down and she's thinking. Can I make a knowledge of some sort or use the force check to see if that rings a bell to her at all?
A use the force check would be more of a search of the living force around you. I would think
Right.
this would be a knowledge galactic, a general overview of your experiences, the knowledge that you've gathered, the things that you have seen, the places you have visited. Go ahead and roll a knowledge galactic lore for me.
I can assist it. I'm pretty sure I did.
What'd you roll?
What did I roll? A 27?
So that gives me what, a +2?
Correct.
I think so.
Okay. So I rolled really bad, so I only got a 15 total.
15?
Oh my.
15. Yeah, I know. Really bad.
You've heard stories of different dark entities, of certain corrupted individuals. And you've even heard of Darth Vader and the Emperor and how they created darkness and horrors of their own. You, however, have not seen a lot of these yourself. And while this sounds like something that would be born of the Inquisition, you're not sure because, honestly, you've never seen anything like this. It does not sound good, though.
Alright. It sounds like something that the Sith would do, but I honestly can't say for sure.
Yeah.
Whenever it is, we need to go and uncover it and deal with it as quickly as possible.
The Colicoid.
Yeah, because the last thing I want is for that thing, whatever it is, to decide that it wants to spread its wings a little bit and start taking over bits and pieces of the galaxy and the rest of the galaxy, which would be really dope. Not that it's already no bueno, is it?
Indeed.
The Colicoid clicks in agreement. I agree with your statement. This creature cannot be allowed the hold and the influence it had previously. It cannot be allowed to continue.
Mm-hmm. Do you? You said that the First Order did they have contact with this gold thing?
They did. He curls his legs up under himself in kind of a sort of a meditative pose almost, as he recounts what he remembers of the First Order. I remember that they too tried to make a deal with this being, and the being did not keep their word. They fought the being. They defeated the being. They even, I believe, they killed it. Despite its change and its deceptive nature. He gets a little click that if you didn't know better, you would say it was almost a chuckle. They exploded it with proton torpedoes. After which, they then went up to its weakened form and finished it off.
But it's still here.
I do not know if it is still here or if it is a ghost. I do not know if it is a brother, a sister, or if it is something else entirely. All I know is that this is something that is not to continue and to stop harassing my people.
Right.
We cannot be a reliable ally of the Ascendancy if we cannot protect ourselves. And we need your help to do this.
Well then, let's get to work then.
Agreed. Let us get to work. He turns to the other colloquids and gives a nod. They move off to the other sides of the brightly lit corridor as they continue on. We will see you this evening. Prepare whatever you need for the upcoming conflict.
Alright, very good. I suppose as I stand and I am about to make my way out, I say, we will see you soon, and I will ensure that our teams are ready to go. And again, I want to keep this small because I feel as though a full-scale assault would be absolute suicide. And unfortunately...
The colloquid nods. I agree. Our full-scale assault was met with slaughter, so you are correct.
Yeah. Not that we would be able to perform one anyway. Well, let's just say we had a bit of a rough landing.
The colloquid kind of cocks his head to the side and says, a rough landing is where you bend the landing gears. You embedded your craft in the landscape.
Yeah.
It is good you are alive. I am glad to see you alive. I will also make my own preparations for the upcoming conflict. The colloquid stands up off of what looks like his little bubble of stone covered over with a cushion, and then graciously leads you back out towards the entrance to where you are ushered back out to the street toward the hovercraft, and the door is closed behind you, leaving you in front of this rundown wooden structure that is hiding this gloriously designed underground area.
Side note, Lynn bows to the colloquid before they leave.
As you bow, the colloquid cocks his head to the side and returns the bow in a deep fashion.
Alright.
Alrighty. What would you like to do at
Alright.
this juncture? Y'all are back out in the street.
As
Y'all
we're
have your
on our way
hovercraft.
back,
Mhm.
and we're about to get ready to gather supplies and, weapons and arms and power packs and, well, food and stuff like that. I come over to Pelly and I go, so, Pelly, you remember that Rainbow Six thing that that we start up for, counterterrorism and everything else and all that?
Yes, sir. Your special strike
With the
force
name.
that you wanted.
Yeah, we might need them sooner than later. As in, tonight? Sooner?
Oh dear. Would you like me to bring up a list of candidates?
Sure.
Very good, sir. Should I include only military personnel, or should I include civilian personnel as well?
That's
Can I
you.
roll a knowledge tactics to see what would be a good idea in this case?
Certainly.
Uh, 38?
38. There are certain roles that are not combat related that could be attended to by civilians, but other than that, it's not always a good idea to bring along specialists on a military mission that might involve gunfight, where you cannot reliably count on somebody to fight well.
Okay, so you basically...
So
I can't put you second, 'cause there's a little...
So basically, I got you.
Basically just use the military personnel?
Unless you want to have an escort mission added on top of this, then yes, you are not going to want a whole lot of civilian personnel, unless they've seen a lot of combat.
Yeah, and I I don't want us to see as much. I want us to, if we have to, kill before we are. If you get what I mean.
Could you repeat that, please?
Basically, what I said was I want to avoid. Well, the only combat that I would like to see is us getting rid of the golden thing. If it is indeed the golden. But anyway, okay, so I relayed to Pelion, the military personnel is probably our best bet at this point, considering that unless we were to do a full-scale assault, which we are in no position to do right now, keep it with the military personnel that Pelion has been investigating.
Well, sir, if you like, we could actually mount a full-scale assault, given that most of our crew is grounded. We have no spaceship to attend to, so at this juncture, we have several thousand men that are essentially doing repairs for which they're not quite qualified, or they are in need of barracks and a place for assault. So we could bring them along as well, if you'd like, sir. Granted, that would make it a full-scale assault.
Knowledge tactics to see if that's a good idea, although I have a feeling I already know.
Yeah, I have a feeling that wouldn't be the best idea.
Lynn is giving Tellus a look like, really?
Yeah, I'm guessing that a 40 is gonna tell me that's not a good idea.
All right, your 40 tells you that given the assault,
44.
given with your 44, that given the knowledge that these natives of the planet had, that they had home field advantage and they tried an assault, a full-on assault that did not work. Not only did it not work, but to quote the bringer of victory, the Colicoid leader, it was a slaughter. So maybe a frontal assault would not be the best idea, unless you wanted a distraction and you wanted to use the lives of the people involved as a distraction. But given certain context, that might get you Darkseid points.
Yeah. So I basically tell Pelion, they kind of already tried that and say it did not go well.
Ah, so they're calling in the specialists, are they, sir?
Well, they sent in a massive team to do their own full-scale assault, and,
I take it that went poorly. Yes, sir. Well, then, it sounds like you're going to need an insertion and special operations team. I will begin looking into that immediately, sir.
Very good. Thanks, Pelion. You're the man.
Right. Thank you, sir. All right, Pelion out. Alrighty.
All right. Okay. So we're on our way back, I'm assuming, and we're going to start gathering supplies.
Correct. All right. At this point in time, what are Banis and Ruckus doing? Were they going along?
We were going to check on the hammer, weren't we? Unless we went with them.
Oh, yeah, it's freaking power hammer.
Yeah, we need to know what happened to the power hammer.
Alrighty.
Well, all things considered, there's probably a bit of a slight delay in the power hammer.
Actually,
Yeah, that's true.
I would actually like you to roll...
Make sure they're alive.
I would like you to roll a gather information check.
That is 25. He assisted, so that's a 26.
26. You go to the previous residence, the barracks area that you had previously seen these people running their small-time underground gambling and fight club. And as you walk in, you see the door hanging off ajar. And as you stick your head in, you see it's been cleaned out. There's a couple of splatters of blood on the floor where somebody obviously was injured, and there's nobody there. You ask a couple of questions of the engineers nearby, one of them says, "Oi, I know where they went. They went over into the civilian town. They're taking up residence there. There's a few of them now. There's a couple of the Imperial soldiers mixing and taking some R&R. You should be able to find them over by, give me a minute. Well, as the engineer thinks for a minute, oh yeah, it's going to be the civilian transport with the green leaves. It's going to be, it's got kind of a home away from home, if you will.
Alright. I'll definitely go check it out. Thank you.
Yeah.
Alrighty, sir. Good hunting. Alrighty, as you make your way out of the ship, you follow his information past a couple of individuals, mostly humans, but several different aliens, Twi'leks, Rhodians, Duros, and as you make your way, you hear the familiar sound of raucous yelling that you recognize as the trademark of the individuals that you had met before. And as you come up, you see on the grasslands right underneath this ship what looks like several different tables, several different individuals all setting up what looks like different gambling games, card games, Sabbath games, and the little holovid that you notice of the little fighting game that they had been betting on previously. It's got this big old crack going down it. It's kind of flickering on and off and hasn't garnered a whole lot of interest. And as you make your way towards, you see a familiar figure watch you walk up. Oh, hello there, lads. What's going on? Oh, you hear about that thing?
That is it.
Yeah, right. Let me see. Let me go see if I can find... Oi! Ballas! One of the older looking humanoids pulls his head up from a table. Ballas, you finished it yet? So he gives you a nod and a thumbs up. Oh yeah, he finished it. Hang on a second, let me go see if it's in our larder. He goes over to what looks like a pile of boxes near one of the struts of the ship, and he pulls, and he goes in there, and he goes, there we go, that's a beauty. He reaches in and kind of struggles to lift it with both hands, but he pulls out this power hammer. Previously, it had this rounded curve to the edge of it where it could generate a force field. Now you see on it spikes that are reminiscent of a meat tenderizer that have kind of a wicked sharp point at the tip end of one side and a rounded area at the other for the power pack. It's like, all right, here you go, lad. I believe that's what you was looking for, and I believe this concludes our deal, right? Oh, and here.
Correct.
Well done.
He kind of flips it over. It's like, all right, on this side, you keep it regular. He indicates some of the switches that are nearby the handle. This one keeps the power just level. Keeps it so that you just whack them straight on, just like you normally do. As he turns on the power hammer, it gives this welcoming glow and throbbing hum that you previously had as remembered. Yeah, this is your regular power hammer. But then he says, but check it out. Here, you push this button. Then you hear a new hum, a deeper rumble to it, as you see the hum of the power hammer change to an electric arc going back and forth between the spikes on the power hammer. And as you hear the electric of electrical energy discharge, kind of like a taser on power. This one changes it over to direct ionic energy. So any kind of, shall you say, nasty mechanical things that you need to smash, they're gonna get a lot of problem with this. He then hands it over to you. Alright, I believe that concludes our deal. Pleasure doing business with you boys.
Give him a good firm handshake.
You give him a nice solid handshake, and while he tries to match your strength, he just can't do it, and he kind of winces as you kind of clamp down him. Right. Good job, lads. As you release his hand, alright, if you need anything else in the future, come on by. And he points around. Well, we changed kind of our location. The gambling tables are open. Everybody's having fun. And if you want to lay down a few credits, come on by.
do, my man. You have done a good job. And you know more than we already have. Wait, what happens if I try to turn on both switches at the same time?
As you pick up the power hammer, would you like to actually do it, or are you asking him?
I'm asking it.
Oh, you turn it on both of them at the same time. It's gonna do double the damage, but it's only gonna do it once, because you're gonna overload it and burn out the power cell. Basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna get twice the power once. Because once you hit that, you're gonna burn out everything and you're gonna need to change out the power cell.
Good to know.
Right. You know, just in case. I wouldn't recommend it. You might break the hammer, because it's kind of a prototype as it is, Lee, you know?
We'd be like, I gotta start walking away.
Alright. Alrighty. You now have your original power hammer, which is now augmented to do ionic damage, and if you want, you can expend all the energy of one power pack to automatically do double damage.
Nice.
Alrighty. Banis, what are you up to during this time?
Man's kind of like ring around the gambling table, looking at them again.
As you look around, you notice a familiar little figure over at one of the tables. You recognize Vagus sitting over at one of the gambling tables, and he seems to be accruing what looks like a large amount of credits over in his corner.
I'm gonna walk over, kind of just like peer over.
What?
We're
Repeat?
getting this major reverb.
Yeah, there's a lot of reverb.
Yeah, there's a lot of reverb. I'm having trouble hearing you guys.
What I'm gonna do, like, kind of move around. I'm gonna go talk to Bob.
I'm sorry, repeat? I couldn't hear you.
I'm gonna go talk to Bob.
Alrighty, as you head on over, you walk up to him, you see him at a table with what is obviously a couple of off-duty Imperial officers, a few gruff-looking stormtroopers with their helmets off, a few civilians, and they're all gathered at the table with kind of these makeshift ships and these sabbat cards just all dealt around the table. And as you watch, you see Vagus just hold his hand just for a moment and then tap the table. He's dealt another card, and then he smiles and then just sits back. I have the full face card deck. As he lays it down, everybody at the table groans, "Oh!" As his tiny little arms just reach up and start raking in all the credits.
Good to know that Vagus can still rank in them.
He turns to you. Captain, I seem to be making a good use of Lady Luck today.
I'm gonna kind of lean her into it and just be like, "Are you cheating, Bagus?" Just like very quiet.
He very quietly returns to you. Only if seeing the future is cheating.
Understandable.
But don't worry, I will make good use of these credits. As he turns towards you with a growing mound of what can easily be several hundred credits stacked in front of him.
Yep. Alright. We're going like good.
At what point in time are we going to be departing, Captain?
I hope it most likely sometime tonight.
Tonight? Excellent. He leans in and whispers, Then I will completely clean them out, and then I will return to the ship.
think about it for a second, and I pull out one of those crystals, still keeping it in my pack, and plop it on the table. I like in like a pie. I'm like, here, this will make things a tad bit more interesting, and then just walk away without saying anything else.
As you've plopped down what looks like this rather large compressed crystal, you see Vagus. Yes. As the card game begins anew with a new kind of fervor at the new kind of odds and price that has now freshly been laid on the table.
I lean over to Bagus and tell him, if you win, you have to give it up.
What? He turns to look at you. Give up the crystal or the credits?
The crystal, keep the credits. The crystal you can trade for a service of some kind between somebody you got. Trust me, it'll be used.
He gives kind of a sigh. Make a persuasion check.
He's going to be a... right at a 30?
30? You see his little shoulders kind of sag for a minute as he looks as though he is acquiescing to your request before he turns to you and says, I will get us a few luxuries and amenities for the ship, but I will have it traded.
Thank you, Bagus. Thank you.
Yes.
I'm sorry you can't keep it. I will find something.
Why, thank you. Alright. And do you walk away?
I pat Bagus on the back and say good luck and walk away.
Alright. As you walk away, the game begins anew as you walk away from this outdoor and improvised casino area that is now beginning rampant. As you come over, you see a few individuals who are obviously from town disembarking off of a hovercraft, and as you see what looks like several different rough and tough looking individuals, and one really tall, orange furred with black striped Cathar in a very nice suit step out of the hover vehicle, give you a nod, and make his way over into the crowd.
I'm intrigued. I'm going to follow it.
This creature is flanked by what looks like several really rough-looking creatures. One of them looks like an extremely rough human. Another one looks as though it's some kind of a deeply furred creature with a long snout and several scars. It looks like it's missing an eye. But it seems to be just scanning the crowd back and forth with its one good eye, keeping an eye on everything going on. The orange-furred creature walks with a regal posture, as though, even though he is easily head and shoulders taller than everyone there, as though he was royalty come to visit. He steps over to what looks like one of the dealers and says, "Pray tell, whom here is the proprietor?" The dealer is kind of a mousy-looking human man. Turns over. If you're looking for the owner of the joint, that's gonna be him over there. He points to the individual who had just handed you the power hammer and who is now talking with a couple of other what looks like several Duros males and kind of in animated conversation. Why, thank you. He makes his way over, and then from a distance begins what looks like kind of a hushed conversation. Would you like to listen in?
Yes.
I mean, I can try.
I would like you to make a perception check.
Oh, that is going to be a 24.
24?
13 plus
13 plus what?
14.
That's going to be a 27.
Yeah. So 24 and a 27.
Y'all both make your way through the tables, and nearby what looks like to be sort of a makeshift roulette table, as a ball is spinning around and around waiting to land, you stand with your backs towards the conversation, and you can hear a couple of tidbits of conversation as you feign interest in the game in front of you. You hear the conversation pretty much along these lines. It is good to see certain interest coming along in this section. Can I help you? What's your business here, Governor? My business is of all types of business, especially the ones that are parts of the gray area of the law. And I see, he glances around, that you too specialize in that kind of business. You could say that. I am a kind of he kind of scratches at his chin. I'm kind of an acquirer of certain hard-to-find items. The orange-furred individual comes up a little bit closer, and then you can't hear any of the words going on between the two of them as they are in hushed conversation, pointedly trying not to be overheard. He steps back after a few minutes. All right, I think we can work something out. Maybe. But, that's kind of a hefty cut you want there. Oh, don't worry. The being almost purrs at him. It will be worth the price at twice as much. Especially since you are not a member of either the Black Sun or the Zon Consortium. You are most welcome here, given that you work within the confines of what I've just stated and acquired what I am seeking. So, all right. I think we can deal. But, you pull through for me. He glances around at the area he's at, and I'll pull through for you, You scratch my back, I'll pet yours. Eh? The tall figure seems to smile. Yes. Your distinct methods of persuasion are not unheard. I will contact some of my people and see if I can get you proper arrangements and a proper building to conduct your... He looks around. Business. I will see you at a later time. He makes his way out and heads over towards the hover vehicle which he had just exited, enters in, and then the hover vehicle hovers off the ground a few feet and then takes off into the air.
Let me go ahead and make my way back to the WONET, having this information, just kind of think on it, see what that could possibly do for the gambling ring, I guess. But
from what you can tell, I would like you to roll a Knowledge Galactic Bureaucracy.
Unnatural 20?
Unnatural 20? I mean,
yes.
There are criminal organizations all throughout the galaxy. You've heard of both the Black Sun and the Zon Consortium. Both criminal organizations, powerful in their own rights. But there are a whole bunch of different groups and organizations all over the galaxy, and it would stand to reason that if one group is making a, shall we say, a shady dime in the territory of another, that they would want to at least have that addressed and make sure that one group is held above the other. So possibly this was a show of power and arrangement, possibly a threat, possibly a merger. You're not too sure.
I think I'll come back and at some point come back and talk to our good friend there, but I think for now I think I'll just leave it be.
All right.
But yeah, I'm gonna go back to the Wonad and start preparing later on tonight. Make sure everything on the Wonad works properly. Make sure my guns work, all that good stuff.
Alrighty, and as you prepare your ship for travel and all of the necessary arrangements, what else is the rest of our Intrepid party up to?
Well, let's see. How many ships are we going to need specifically? So, we'll probably need one for Team Rainbow Six.
The Wonad can carry 7, so.
Huh.
No, we're just.
I don't know why it keeps doing that.
What?
What was that? Because for some reason the chat is just stopping at random point,
Yeah.
and I'm not getting anything.
The Wonad can carry up to 7 people without having any weight.
Okay, and then we're probably going to need another ship specifically for the team that I built, or that Pelion is helping me build, I should say.
Yeah.
So that's 2 for sure.
And then maybe a ship to get people out if necessary.
So you're thinking 3 ships? Hang on, how many Colloquids are coming with us?
That's a good question.
Are the Colloquids taking their own ship or one of ours?
Ask them. Find out.
It stands to reason that they had made their own way here, and given the situation, it stands to reason that they would have their own way back. So, most likely they have their own ship.
All right.
So probably 3 ships at most.
Alright. I think,
Not including the hunt.
so knowledge tactics to see if 3 ships is a good number.
Alright. Go ahead and roll knowledge. Actually, this would be more of a logistics question. So,
38.
38? Alright. From a logistics standpoint, you would need as many ships as would comfortably take your crew. And from a tactical standpoint, the fewer the ships you take, the less likely your little insertion team is going to be noticed. And the more chance that you're going to have the element of surprise, the more likely your mission is going to be successful. So the fewer the ships you take, the better off you guys are going to be.
Right.
So how about we take just the 2 ships with our group, with our teams, and then after the whole invasion is over, we come back to move people out if need be.
That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah. I think I would agree with that.
Alrighty.
Okay, so what's the status of the Rainbow Six team and their ship that they're going to be using?
Alrighty, at this point in time, you search out for Pelion, and he tells you to meet him up on the bridge of the spatial vector. At this point in time, you head on up to the spatial vector and you see what looks like 3 individuals standing in loose formation, kind of standing at ease, with Pelion standing over to the side. Still a bandage on his head, but this time it's not quite as bloody. It looks like he's healing up quite nicely. Alright, so, I've gone through a few of the rosters and I've picked out a few eligible candidates. This one here is Aleph Eneb, is one of our intrepid scouts from way back in the 501st. An excellent shot, excellent survival capabilities individual. As he points over to it, this is a human male in stormtrooper garb with blonde hair and kind of a tuft of a goatee.
All right. Very good.
And if you want to, sir, you can take him under consideration. This individual also seems to be wearing scout trooper armor.
Very good.
Next up, sir, we have Sheena Hanasol. This one you take a look over is a Twi'lek female. and this one wears no military garb. And Pelion turns to you and says, I know we didn't have any particulars towards military personnel, but I was looking for someone with hacking and computer skill capabilities, and there were none amongst the military personnel that would up to specs, so I took the liberty of searching through the civilian populace, and Miss Sheva here was willing to volunteer her services. Hacker extraordinaire, a wizard with computers, droids, technology, whatever have you, but he leans in a little closely, doesn't take orders all that well, and is rather vocal about her own personal opinions, sir.
Alright, well, before we go, before I address them, I'm gonna do a perception check on them to see, just anything kind of strikes a nerve or something like that. There's something that seems off.
Gotcha.
Because you can never be too careful now.
Yeah.
Things considered.
Roll perception.
That is going to be a 31.
31? None of them strike you as out of place. I mean, they all seem to be individuals who are capable. They all look like they've seen their own rough times. They've obviously seen a bit of experience. But the only one who looks a bit shifty to you would be the one over on the right-hand side. And that's because they seem to be wearing jet black armor. And of the three of them, that makes them stand out.
Alright, well, I'll go ahead and brief them on the situation.
Alright, is that?
So, yeah. We're just gonna hand wave. Hand wave brief.
Done. And as you finish off the brief, the Twi'lek in the middle says, "Oi, how much we getting paid for this?"
Okay, give me a second to think. That was out of character.
Do it.
So, knowledge bureaucracy to see what I should say in this situation?
Well, bottom line, you don't have a whole lot of credits on you, so any kind of credits would have to be either gotten on planet or after the job.
And that's why I'm thinking knowledge bureaucracy to, how should I explain it?
Explain it in whatever methods that you want, but at the end of it, you will be making a persuasion check. Or an intimidation check, depending upon how you word it.
Right. So, give me a minute to think. Because I have an idea, I just need to get the words right in my head.
Gotcha. Pelion leans in. Sir, if it helps at all, the standard operating
You're cutting out again.
Alright, Pelion leans in.
Alright,
Better? Worse? Better?
it's okay for now.
Okay.
What was that you were saying?
Pelion leans in to whisper at you. Sir, the standard operating rates that we have for our current mercenary force is 200 credits per day. And that's if they see combat. If they do not, then it's only 50 credits a day.
You cut out again.
Gotcha. Okay. Basic gist is that Pelion is telling you that the money involved for a mercenary company is 200 credits a day for combat scenario, 50 credits a day for non-combat days.
Alright, and there's 3 of them here.
There's 3 of them there, 1 civilian amongst the 3 of them.
Raise it to 250 per day standard, and I will pay for it. Personally.
Pelion nods. Very good, sir. Alright. He turns back towards the Twi'lek. 250 credits per day, given that you see combat. If not, then it's 100 credits a day. And you'll be paid after the job is completed. Twilight kind of just slumps to the side and says, sure, why not?
Yeah, I just had a feeling.
Alrighty.
Okay, so out of character, that was a okay.
She seems amenable. She didn't seem to have a problem with the rates involved.
Okay, well that's good.
During said briefing, I'm just gonna calm into Tellus and let him know about the other jumpsuits that we have available still.
Okay.
They are the same jumpsuits of the people that had attacked Raucus, and they seem to help with stealth, which could possibly aid our cause. So,
I knew there was a reason I didn't have you shot immediately, Bannis.
yeah, of course.
Hellion is probably used to my sarcasm and sass that I say to at this point.
As you're going back and forth with Bannis, you just see a little smile curl at his lips as he dismisses the three individuals on the bridge.
Alright, very good. So we will do that. Also want to make sure that we take any specialized equipment that might be useful. So maybe breaching charges, maybe suppressors for our weapons and everything.
Yes, sir.
And stuff like that to kind of tone down the noise and the impact that we'll be making. If you catch my drift.
Understood, sir. I'll get whatever supplies we can from the stores that we have left.
Very good. Thanks, Pelion.
My pleasure, sir. Right. He turns towards a couple of the others. You three, I've got an assignment for you. You're officially part of Rainbow Six, specialized military operatives that are going to be going on mission come sunrise. Now.
And that's another cutout.
And that's a cutout? Damn it. Okay. Pelion turns toward the
I have a feeling that I have a feeling it might have something to do with my Wi-Fi over here. I don't know what it is, but let's see.
My Wi-Fi has a similar problem in my apartment. Unless I'm connected directly to Ethernet cable.
Yeah, well, interestingly enough, it's actually better now that I've disconnected it from the Ethernet.
The basic gist is that Pelion gives the assignment of finding supplies and weapons for the mission to the three individuals who are standing at attention on the bridge.
Okay, very good.
Alrighty.
Also let them know that beers are on me when we get back.
At the mention of alcohol, the one on the scout trooper on the left.
And that's another.
The scout trooper on the left.
That's a cutout.
That's a cutout? How about this? This one a cutout?
Really annoying.
How about this? Cutting out? Cutting in? Am I here?
Are any of us here?
Are any of us here? Are any of us really here? I don't know, but we'll find out. At the mention of beer, you see the scout trooper over to the side kind of pump his arm in a yes motion. The Twilight goes up. I don't drink. And
well then, anything you would like for like food or whatever, I'll buy.
Okay, that works. She says. And the individual in the black trooper armor just says
and
nothing.
That's another cutout.
And the trooper
I'm starting to think that before we see any major combat, we should call it for the evening.
We might have to.
Because if it keeps cutting out like this, it's going to be very difficult for us to actually do stuff.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
that seems like a good time to call it until we get all the internet problems fixed.
Alrighty. At this point in time, the sun is just starting to set. As all of you have your mission, you have your allies, you're getting your supplies, and you, at the morning, will be ready to make your way to a new planet and a new mission.
Alright.
Alrighty, so I guess that's where we're gonna call it for today.
Yeah,
Man.
considering... Yeah, I know. But connection issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was freaking awesome, though. You just taking that entire mound of dirt and just going, move!
Yeah, I had fun with that.
I'm kind of sad you did it because I wanted to see the disaster that would have been the Tor Punch.
Oh, you
Not
would,
letting you blow a proton torpedo aboard my ship again.
Yeah, again?
Okay. Alright, well, just for the record,
Hey, Graham.
anyone goes on Bannis' ship between now and the time we're supposed to be heading over to go meet the group, he's just kind of fiddling with a new knife that none of y'all have seen before, that he's kind of been hiding this whole time. It's just a survival knife, but it's something you don't normally see Bannis with.
Is it the vibro dagger that got shoved into Lynn's shoulder?
No, he still has that, but it's not that. He can't. I'm not proficient with that. I can't. I don't need it.
Oh, Lewis, I'm gonna get us some stealth gear, too. So, like, any stealth cloaks or whatever.
Yeah, hey, those jumpsuits I was talking about?
On
those
our
are-
party, too.
Yeah,
Just so that way, you know, we don't have 3 individuals that are fully equipped for a stealth mission, and then we have 5 individuals that are not.
we found some suits in that crate I found earlier that
Yeah.
are stealth-based.
The only thing about them is you have to wear nothing else but those.
Well, they have to be on top.
Yeah, they have to at least be on top.
Well, I mean, most of us aren't really proficient with armor anyway, so...
Well, I mean, they're not really armor.
They're more like suits.
They're just like suits.
Ever been diving? Kinda
It's like a
that.
diving suit almost.
Okay.
Y'all you want my character going on this mission? He's not exactly stealthy.
But the setup is complete. A heist will commence next time.
Alrighty.
Alright, hopefully we can get the internet to stop being stupid next time.
Yeah, because I
Yes,
keep
that
having
would be
Steven cutting in and out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I occasionally have the rest of y'all cutting in and out, so it might be my internet.
Well,
It could be a
Lewis,
combination of all of
Well, there
us.
were a couple of times where Steven said you cut it out for him, but not us.
if you want, next time we meet, if me and Graham are both in town, we might be able to meet at Graham's place to use his Wi-Fi.
Pretty good.
That actually sounds like a good idea. I have another idea. I've been talking to my parents about this, and they think that this is an excellent idea for a radio show, and they have offered to let me use their place and their internet, which is top notch.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
You could do.
Either or. Whatever's up, it's up to you.
Yeah, whatever we'll talk about it more as time goes on. We'll see what we decide.
Alright.
I am both.
So,
I am
just
both.
to make sure, we didn't really do a whole lot because,
Are
well,
you kidding me?
yeah.
Y'all did a lot. Y'all got the ship out and free. Y'all found out what happened to the High Prophet's friend. Y'all saw literally a crime organization get expanded or about to get into a full-blown crime war. You met with diplomats for a stealth operation mission, and you hired mercenaries / added on to Rainbow Six. So I think y'all did a lot today.
Oh, okay.
We
That's
did
fair
much
point.
combat-wise.
Granted, there was not a whole lot of combat, but I am glad to see that y'all did not actually explode all that stuff. Because right before you did, there would have been some rolls.
Yeah.
It would have been interesting.
Thanos could have died.
I wouldn't have been in there.
Hey, in my games, there is no guarantee of life.
Well,
We're aware. You fully planned on
Very
killing
much
me and
aware.
Steven.
Yeah. But I take it we're still going to be level 17.
Oh yeah, everybody's at level 17 still. It's gonna take y'all a little bit
Okay.
before y'all get to 18. Oh, and by the way,
Yeah.
since I've got you all here, how would all of you guys feel about going to level 20 and higher?
I'm okay with
okay with
that.
Fine with it.
I don't
Yeah,
really.
I mean, that's fine.
Okay.
Because what it says, what that does is it says that the game continues to level with you. It's not like when you hit level 20, you're just a god and you can't be killed. You know, I would say still like a challenge whenever I'm level 20.
Oh, there's gonna be plenty of challenges in the future. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
But so
and
far,
that's what you said there. That you said that there was going to be no level cap anyway.
correct. I just want to make sure that everybody is on board with this and everybody likes this idea.
I like it.
I like it too.
Always
Excellent.
good going up. Never understood level caps anyway. Don't count
I
it.
think this is my first ever high level character campaign, so
Yeah, no,
it
I
really
like
opens
the
up a
high
lot
levels.
of versatility.
Mm-hmm.
I like the high levels because you really get to dig into the character and what you built.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That you can start doing like some really creative stuff with like the heat and stuff. Talent.
Plus, it shows the really awesome potential of certain characters that are really high level. Because so far, Steven's character Tellus has not yet failed a tactics or any kind of knowledge roll at all. He has succeeded every time he's made any kind of intellectual roll. Bannis has yet to fail a pilot check. And Lynn, well, I honestly don't need to say anything.
you're right.
Because Lynn is a beast.
Yeah, Lynn can pull some shit.
Because I'm going to tell you right now, the amount of explosives that y'all would have needed to move that dirt would have moved it, but you also would have made some interesting rolls to see if you survived it. Because y'all were in
That's
a...
kind of why I was thinking blow up a proton torpedo only 30 feet away from you.
Because, put it in this
Not so
context,
sure that's a good idea.
explosion, close quarters, and a lot of different volatile pieces and shrapnel all over the place.
That sounds
We
like
blew
fun.
up a proton torpedo one time. It blew up an entire neighborhood.
Now, you see, I think I have a plan for the proton torpedo in case it needs to be done. We can just nuke the place if we have to.
And then use the nuke it from orbit option.
Yeah.
That's always an option.
Or no, in our case, it'd be more of a drive-by.
Yeah.
In, put down, leave. Goes up.
No. Fly over, kick it out the back, and just let it blow up.
Hey man, there is always the nuke it from orbit option.
Well,
That's
we
why-
can't really
that's
nuke
why-
it from orbit because all 5 of my Star Destroyers are kind of, well, in the dirt.
This is why I decided to take the proton torpedo as like an insurance policy.
Oh, and
Yeah,
by,
we could probably still get that other one.
We only need one. One is enough.
and by the way,
Well,
when
say
he
that.
pulled out,
It didn't blow up.
But you can overkill. One wasn't enough for Japan.
Shit, you right.
Okay, I think we go back and get the other one.
That's terrible. I was gonna say that one wasn't enough to blow up Darth Arum.
He's Jewish. Nobody cares.
actually, y'all have not yet met Darth Arum, so y'all don't know if this is Darth Arum or not.
I have a sneaking suspicion it is, but at the same time, I'm like,
There's a suspicious amount of gold around here.
Yeah, the moment you started talking about gold and started mentioning things that happened in the other campaign, I was just like, God damn it, Lewis, I know where this is going.
Well, I'm curious
Alright.
to see what y'all do with this. Y'all,
Oh yeah, me.
Oh yeah.
y'all are doing really well so far, and I am looking forward to see how y'all problem solve in the future.
this is fun. You've given me a fleet, and then you've almost taken it away from me.
I've given you a fleet
He's
that
pretty
now
much taking it away.
less taking it away and more it now needs repairs, but you still have one.
He's not wrong. It's just
Yeah. Okay.
And besides, dude, if I give you a fleet of anything, there is no mission that is hard. All you have to do is call in the fleet, and all of a sudden, the nuke it from orbit option is every option.
I mean,
unless you're fighting another fleet.
still nuke it from orbit.
Still nuke it from orbit.
That's why we need the other one.
Lynn nuked General Grievous from orbit.
This is true.
Indeed.
Twice.
You know,
I called in an airstrike, and then Lynn immediately after nuked him from orbit.
wasn't Brandon?
Yeah.
Wasn't,
Brandon said that we should have killed Grievous.
Yeah, Brandon said we did kill Grievous, but he had to make him survive
Wow. That's
because he
beautiful.
wasn't actually dead in the Clone Wars at the time.
So Bannis instead just has his arm just still chilling on the ship.
Yeah.
You could, that's kind of disarming, but you know, that's just
I
how it is.
want.
Ah.
Ah.
Wait, Lewis, I have a question.
I have an answer.
Could I take said arm and make it to where it could like hold the survival knife and turn it into a long range survival knife each?
You could, if you, basically what you're asking me is if you could take it and make it into a giant decorative handle. The answer is yes.
yes. My character likes.
I legitimately thought he was going to ask you if you could make it into a cup holder.
Oh shit, I could do that too!
Like
It's the shit, it's the throttle.
It's like you're giving his hand a high five when you push the throttle forward.
Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. All right, ladies and gentlemen,
Alright.
I'm gonna go see if I can't fix some of my connection issues and run a couple of diagnostics on my equipment. Can any of y'all hear the music that I've got going right now?
No.
Kind of.
Yes,
I
vaguely.
hear bits and pieces of it.
Honestly,
Right.
I think the music contributes to you cutting out sometimes.
It might. It might.
Oh, Ariel, let's talk about it. Next time we play, I need to remember to ask Lewis what exactly the other lightsaber crystal I still have does. I don't remember exactly what.
Oh, I can tell you right now.
It was blue.
Correct. It was, give me a minute. Let me check my notes. I have it written down. One was a hurricane, and the other was a blah, 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 blah. It was a blue.
Yeah, 'cause we had the pink one that we put into the power hammer.
Correct.
How low?
Yeah.
Electric low.
Ariel, we basically just made hammer with Raucus's power hammer.
Alrighty then.
We got some guys who affixed a lightsaber crystal into it, so it now does ion damage.
Oh lord.
And if I ever
See
want
what I've been having to deal with.
self-destruct on an enemy and blow it up.
Not a terrible idea, especially if it's a last-ditched effort and if it's an emergency. Not a bad idea.
I know it's a one-time use, but it's a good oh shit one-time use.
Exactly.
It's like that when you keep explosion on it, it does.
It's
Never
simple.
wanna use
Swing
it.
it at something you don't like, hit the thing, and that thing will be gone. Forever.
There you go. There we go.
Okay.
Okay, you have one hurricane crystal and one Furcan crystal.
Okay, what do they both do?
All right, the Furcan is the pink one that did ion damage.
The ion.
Correct. And the Hurricane is the blue one that gains +2 force bonus on attack rolls against targets that wear armor. So basically, anything that wears armor
If this is put into the weapon, it works better against them.
Sounds like something you might want, Ariel?
Maybe if I get enough components to build a new lightsaber.
Alright, awesome.
Those components are expensive. I'm going to say that right now.
Well, maybe she can get Vagus to break apart, put it back together.
She can take apart her own lightsaber.
True.
You're seriously doubting Lynn?
No.
I was about to say, what do you have in the use of the Force, Ariel? A 24?
29.
It's
A 29 in use of the... Yeah.
ridiculous.
Ooh, doggy. That is one massive bonus to use the Force.
I only need another, whenever we go up another level, I have a flat 30.
Nice.
Nice.
Good lord, Ariel.
Yeah, it's great.
Hey, Vance is almost there with Pilot, too.
So yeah, we're definitely gonna need to crack open the Force Unleashed stuffs for you guys, especially for.
Well, depending on when we get another, ability score increase, you may have a 31.
Ooh.
Because I'm close to getting another tick mark for my charisma skill.
Excellent. Because I'll tell you what, the more power that you have, the more awesome you become, the better you can knock down the bad guys.
This is
Well,
for
who-
the bad guys get on.
What?
What'd you say, Graham?
I said that's the tougher the bad guys get, though.
Yeah. The tougher the bad guys get as well, but,
Yeah.
we'll still knock them down their asses.
I still like that, the linked power force secret that I got.
Remind
What
me.
is that?
That's the one that allowed her to force choke out that one guy and reserve the move object for the next round and still maintain the force grip.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
That was good. Oh,
Very nice Force secret.
that's right. Adam and Graham didn't see that part.
no.
What?
That's lame. It was badass.
Ari?
You always do badass stuff, though, Ariel.
Yeah, but this one, I hadn't gotten to play with this ability before, and it was so cool.
Ooh.
Basically, they were trying to fix explosives to, what were they, Lewis?
There were conduits on the hyperdrive engine.
Yeah, they were about to blow the entire planet to smithereens. And one of them was rushing to, arm his. So I had her use force grip with linked power. So that means on that round it was force grip, and on the next round, as a free action, move object would activate, which allowed her to maintain her force grip while also pulling another guy away from his conduit.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I lugged a lot of lead into their boss dude,
Yeah.
who
Oh.
tried to use this pulse cannon that was literally, he was literally
Dissolving you.
less than a foot away from me, and he missed every single time with it.
Well, as a master of tactics, you would know where and when he was going to start shooting and get out of the way.
I mean, I am Sherlock Holmes when it comes to my reflex defense, basically.
But I'm going to tell you right now, it was kind of amazing. Lynn had one guy up in the air and was throwing the other guy into another guy who, if you remember, he had a vibroblade that was cut off because you had deflected it and destroyed his vibroblade, and you shoved the
Alright.
broken handle blade into his skull and killed him.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
that sounds beautiful.
That sounds
Good shit, Ariel.
Thank you. It was wonderful.
Oh, it was impressive. It was impressive.
I still think my favorite thing I've done in this campaign so far was pull that guy's face into the walkway with the fucking ascension gun. I shoot him in the face with my ascension gun. He goes, "The grappling hook? Yes." And he goes, "Okay."
Sure.
And that's funny. I straight up just cut.
It was beautiful.
This
Oh.
was after he said, "Screw this," and
He
just
threw
threw
a
a grenade and
grenade
just
in the
threw it
break.
at the, it just threw it at the officer. We killed the whatever the vice admiral was that was trying to assassinate me, and we killed him before he even had a chance to go.
Yep, they knocked.
Nice.
They knocked him out. He was gone.
I was telling Lewis, we tend to have a knack for that.
That's good. That's why
Yeah.
y'all are still alive.
If there's anything that Brandon has taught us, it's that we need to kill the officer first.
Yeah, that's true. That's why he always targets you when he can.
Yeah, I know.
That's why Odim stays like not even a foot from you. He's like hugging you the whole.
Odium was supposed to be guarding Lynn, but Lynn moved around too much, so he was like, fuck it, I'm gonna guard the officer instead.
Yeah. It was a real quick change.
Hey,
So I think like the first combat that got into, I activated Surge and like took off running towards whatever it was that was attacking us.
Yeah, Odim was like, and tried to keep up, but it didn't work.
oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Oh, that was when you activated Surge to jump on top of a really big droid, wasn't it?
I think so.
Odin's first thing with us was at the was when we fought Grievous.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah, it was.
Man, what a way to cut your teeth. Here's your first mission. Fight General Grievous.
Well, he was more or less an after effect of what happened. He kind of showed up after the fact, and we were just like, oh no.
Of course, Brandon didn't realize that we were going to use the nuke it from orbit option.
Oh yeah. That's always a good option. And plus, you remember the old adage in D&D? If you give it stats, they will kill it.
This is
Yeah.
true.
Mm-hmm. And I thoroughly expect you guys to kill all my bad guys.
Yeah.
I'm actually hoping so. Because,
I thoroughly expect us to have a challenge.
Yeah.
hey, if y'all do not kill them, y'all are gonna be in a bad way. I'm gonna say that right now.
The Star Destroyer going critical. That was a challenge.
Yeah. And that was one of the bad guys sending his minions.
Yeah, we cut it a little close. Adam, we had about 17 seconds left on the clock before it went kapoots.
Oh, Jesus.
So we got it down to like the countdown.
The final countdown?
Yeah, we cut it a little close.
I love it when they activated the countdown and Tellus just books it over to the main computer and just starts roll. And you rolled really high, which is one of the reasons why you had a little over 10 seconds on the countdown left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't see it, but I had to spend a destiny point for my fleet not to blow up while it was entering atmosphere.
Yeah,
Adam.
Oh yeah.
I remember that. Good use of a destiny point.
But okay, I think I'm gonna head out and I'm gonna make some food and
Oh, look, there's some stuff you'll have to make a tater tot casserole.
What was that?
Oh my god, it's the fucking best.
Tater tot casserole sounds delightful.
Yeah, you take tater tots, cream of mushroom soup, beef, and cheese, mix all that shit together, and put it in the oven for 30 minutes.
that sounds amazing.
It is. And the best part about
But
it
if you're gonna do that, why don't you just do a green bean casserole and put tater tots on top of that?
Ooh.
Ooh.
Alright. I'll talk to you guys later.
All right.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for joining us.
Catch you later, Lewis.
Catch you later, gentlemen. We're gonna have more fun in the future.
Oh, yeah. I look forward to it.
What?